Have you ever found yourself in one of those painfully awkward moments where someone disrespects you right in front of others? Maybe it was a sharp, sarcastic comment that caught you off guard, or a poorly timed joke that left you feeling small, humiliated, and exposed. And in that split second, you're left wondering, what do I do now? Should I fight back, stay silent, or walk away? How do you respond, not just to preserve your dignity, but to quietly command respect, even from those who typically ignore the worth of others? If you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. We've all been there, caught in that uncomfortable tension between standing up for ourselves and not stooping to someone else's level. But here's the powerful truth. You have far more control than you think in these moments. In this video, we're going to break down how to respond to public disrespect in a way that's grounded, effective, and rooted in the ageless teachings of Stoic philosophy. These are more than just coping tricks. They're strategies designed to protect your peace and increase the respect you command in the eyes of others. Let's begin by asking, why do these moments happen at all? The answer may surprise you. In many cases, it's not because someone hates you or harbors deep resentment. Often it's something far less personal and far more strategic: opportunism. Some people, consciously or not, try to raise their own status by belittling others. They throw out cutting remarks or make you the punchline of a joke. Not because of who you are, but because they're trying to appear clever, powerful, or dominant in front of an audience. You'll find this behavior in offices, social gatherings, and yes, even within families. And this is where Stoicism becomes your shield. The Stoics taught that respect isn't something you chase or demand. It's something you embody through your actions, your boundaries, and your calm composure. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So when someone throws a verbal jab at you, remember, their words are the outside event. Your response, that's your true power. But it goes even deeper. It's not just about winning a single interaction. It's about creating an aura of self-respect that discourages others from trying to bring you down in the first place. Think about it. When people know that cheap shots don't shake you, when they realize that sarcasm or mockery rolls off your back, they stop using you as a target. You silently teach them that you are not someone to be used as a stepping stone to inflate their ego. That doesn't mean being aggressive. In fact, the strongest response often lies in calm, poised silence or a thoughtful, grounded reply. When you refuse to get emotionally rattled, when you stay centered, you demonstrate inner mastery. You show people that you don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to retaliate to be respected. So in this video, we'll walk you through practical, Stoic-inspired methods for dealing with public disrespect. From verbal techniques to mindset shifts, you'll discover simple yet powerful tools to stand your ground without losing your cool. And remember, true respect isn't earned through loud retaliation. It's earned through quiet strength. It's in how you carry yourself, how you protect your self-worth, and how you refuse to be defined by anyone else's attempt to bring you down. Let's now dive into these real-world techniques and show you how to turn moments of humiliation into milestones of personal power and Stoic dignity. First impressions. We hear that phrase all the time, but have you ever stopped to realize just how much power those first few seconds really carry? Imagine this. You're at a high-stakes networking event. The room hums with conversation, business cards are being exchanged, opportunities floating in the air. Suddenly, someone walks in. Confident, focused, they scan the crowd and head straight toward you. They extend a hand for a greeting, but you stay seated. You glance up briefly, shake their hand from your chair, and return to your conversation. What just happened? Without saying a word, you've sent a message, and not a good one. You've signaled disinterest, maybe even arrogance. You didn't intend to, of course, but in that moment, your actions whispered louder than your words ever could. First impressions are powerful, and Stoic philosophy understood this long before it became a business cliche. It's not always about what you say, It's about how you show up. The Stoics believed that small gestures could reflect profound values. Standing up to greet someone, making eye contact, offering a firm handshake. These aren't just social niceties. They're quiet declarations of self-respect and mutual regard. Marcus Aurelius wrote that our actions define us more than our words. And in this case, a simple movement, rising to meet someone, becomes a symbol of your inner discipline and presence. Let me take you into a real story to illustrate this. A few years ago, I attended a professional seminar where the goal wasn't just to learn, it was to connect. Out of a crowd of driven, intelligent people, one man stood out. Not because he gave a groundbreaking presentation or wore a flashy suit, but because of how he treated everyone. When he greeted a senior executive, he stood up. When he thanked the staff refilling his coffee, he stood up. Every time, full presence, firm handshake, direct eye contact, calm, warm, and respectful. It didn't feel rehearsed, it felt real. He didn't command attention by dominating the room. He did it by showing up, fully, mindfully, consistently. And people noticed. They gravitated toward him. They respected him. Now contrast that with another attendee. This person stayed seated for every introduction, even when meeting senior leaders. He meant no harm, it was just habit, but still it created distance. An invisible wall. No one said anything, but the shift in perception was undeniable. People subconsciously saw him as less engaged, less confident, even though he was just as capable. What does this teach us? That rising to greet someone is not just about etiquette. It's about acknowledging the value of the moment, of the person, and of yourself. This is where Stoicism enters the scene. The Stoics didn't concern themselves with what they couldn't control. Instead, they focused on the one thing always within reach, themselves, their behavior, their attitude, their presence. In your daily life, you can apply the same wisdom. When meeting someone, at the office, in a coffee shop, or even over Zoom, bring yourself fully into that moment. If you're in person, stand up, look them in the eye, offer a steady, confident presence. These aren't just gestures, they are statements. You are saying, I respect you, and I respect myself. These small choices build something bigger, a life rooted in awareness, dignity, and intentional action. They are the building blocks of respect, both given and received. So the next time you're introduced to someone new, don't underestimate the moment. Don't stay seated. Rise, let your posture speak. Let your eye contact connect. Let your stillness radiate strength. Because in that brief exchange, you're not just making an impression, you're embodying the very core of Stoic philosophy. Live with intention. Pay attention to the little things, and let your actions, no matter how small, reflect the greatness within. Second tip, how to handle being interrupted in public. We've all been there. You're in the middle of sharing a thought, maybe telling a story, making a point, or simply joining a conversation, when suddenly someone jumps in and interrupts you. In public, this can be especially frustrating. It cuts your momentum, draws attention, and leaves you hanging awkwardly in mid-sentence. Your instinct might be to snap back or shut them down. But Stoic wisdom teaches us something far more powerful. What should you do instead? Fix your gaze on the person, a calm, steady, intentional look. Without anger, without flinching. Let your eyes carry the message your mouth doesn't need to speak. Stoicism reminds us that true strength doesn't come from trying to control others, but from mastering ourselves. And in moments like this, your ability to stay composed is your most powerful tool. Picture it like this. You're at a social gathering, you're mid-conversation, and someone abruptly speaks over you. Instead of raising your voice, instead of cutting them off, you stop, just for a moment, and look directly at them. Not with rage, not with resentment, but with presence, a firm, clear, unshaken gaze. That silent pause does something extraordinary. It shifts the atmosphere. It says, I saw what you did, and I choose to respond with calm authority, not chaos. This subtle but intentional act speaks volumes. It holds the space, it recenters the attention, and it makes the interrupter reflect, often more deeply than a sharp retort ever could. Let me share a quick story. During a family dinner, I was sharing a lighthearted story that had the table laughing. Right in the middle, a relative interrupted, not rudely, but clearly cutting across my moment to tell their own tale. For a second, I felt that all too familiar mix of frustration and awkwardness. But instead of responding or competing for attention, I paused, looked at them, calm, steady, and just waited. No tension, no words, just presence. Within seconds, they realized what had happened. They stopped, smiled sheepishly, and said, "Sorry, please continue." I didn't need to argue or assert myself. That silent pause did all the work. The rest of the evening flowed smoothly. No drama, no power struggle, just mutual respect reestablished. This is the beauty of Stoic practice in real life. In public or group settings, staying composed and present doesn't just help you handle an interruption, it actually increases your influence. People notice the calm one, the grounded one, the person who doesn't need to raise their voice to be heard. Once you've reclaimed the space, all it takes is a simple sentence to pick up where you left off. Try saying, "As I was saying," or "Let me continue from where I stopped." It's polite, it's firm, and it reinforces your place in the conversation without humiliating anyone. The goal here isn't to embarrass the interrupter, it's to draw a boundary, to send a clear message that respectful communication is non-negotiable. And you do that not through dominance, but through dignity. When people see you respond with poise, it makes them think. It sets a silent standard. They begin to realize this is someone who values their words and expects to be heard. Stoicism teaches us that even in uncomfortable moments, we are not victims of our emotions. We can choose stillness, we can choose intention, we can choose to respond in a way that reflects who we are, not how others behave. So next time someone interrupts you in public, don't flinch, don't fume, just look. Hold your gaze, let your calmness speak, and then pick up where you left off. Because this isn't just about regaining control of a conversation, it's about affirming your self-worth in a way that's silent, powerful, and lasting. Third tip, when someone tries to humiliate you with a joke in front of friends. We've all experienced it, that uncomfortable moment in a group of friends when someone drops a joke that's clearly meant to embarrass you. Maybe it's an old story from school, a teasing comment about your past, or something that puts you in a bad light just to get a laugh. Your first instinct? You feel the heat rise in your chest. Maybe your face flushes. You want to snap back, defend yourself, say something clever and shut them down. But here's the truth. How you respond in that moment will shape everything that follows. And this is exactly where Stoic philosophy becomes your secret weapon. Let me tell you a story. During a casual reunion with some old school friends, we were all sharing laughs and memories when, suddenly, one of them decided to retell an embarrassing story about me. Something childish and irrelevant from our school days. He told it with enthusiasm, clearly trying to get the group laughing at my expense. At first, I felt that familiar wave of discomfort. You know that sensation, like you're being put on display, and the laughter feels more like ridicule. My instinct was to snap back, say something sharp, maybe mock him in return. But then I remembered a principle from Stoic philosophy that I've held on to for years. If it doesn't harm your character, it shouldn't harm your peace. So instead of reacting emotionally, I smiled calmly, as if unbothered, and said, "Oh, I didn't catch that. Would you mind repeating the story?" And just like that, something shifted. He hesitated. The joke no longer landed the same way. He had to retell it, but now without the element of surprise or the group's momentum behind him. The room grew quieter. The laughter faded. People started to notice the awkwardness. The joke, once seemingly funny, now felt forced. And in that moment, the dynamic changed completely. Here's the key insight. Asking someone to repeat a humiliating joke disarms them. It doesn't just reduce the punch, it flips the power. You don't need to get angry. You don't need to argue. You just stand your ground with quiet composure and confidence. By doing this, you expose the behavior for what it is: petty, inappropriate, and unnecessary, without ever raising your voice. You make it clear that you're unshaken and that you won't be pulled down into the mud just to defend your pride. This is Stoicism in real time. It's not about being passive. It's about choosing power over provocation. It's about showing that you are not easily moved by the opinions or antics of others. So how can you apply this in your own life? First, pause. You don't have to respond immediately. Take a breath. Let the moment settle. 2. Use silence wisely. It creates discomfort for the one trying to provoke you and gives you space to remain in control. 3. Respond calmly. A neutral, confident tone, something like, "Would you mind repeating that?" works better than any insult ever could. And if the person tries again, stay grounded. Keep your tone steady. Let your body language say what your words don't need to. Remember, Stoicism teaches that your character is reflected in how you handle discomfort, not when things are easy, but when they're challenging. Each time you choose calm over conflict, stillness over drama, you not only gain the quiet respect of those around you, you also strengthen your own self-respect. You become the one who leads not by shouting, but by example. So the next time someone throws a joke meant to embarrass you in front of others, don't take the bait. Pause, breathe, look them in the eye, and if needed, calmly ask them to repeat it. You'll find the room and the energy quickly shifts in your favor. Because in the end, the real punchline is this: you control the story, not them. Tip 4, when someone tries to provoke you, use this unexpected Stoic strategy. Have you ever been in a situation where someone clearly wanted to get under your skin? Where their words weren't just casual comments, but subtle daggers, thrown with precision, designed to hurt, embarrass, or provoke? It's a moment we all face at some point, and the way you respond can either fan the flames or completely disarm the attack. Picture this. You're at a family gathering. Laughter, food, conversations flowing, until someone drops a pointed remark about a failure in your career. It's not just a random comment, it's crafted to sting. Suddenly, the room goes quiet. Eyes turn toward you. There's a pause. Everyone's waiting. What will you do? Snap back? Defend yourself? Stay silent? But instead of reacting emotionally, you smile gently, take a calm breath, and say, "Hey, does anyone know a good bakery nearby? I was thinking of bringing something sweet to the next get-together." The entire atmosphere shifts. Just like that. The instigator is thrown off, unsure how to continue. The others, unsure what just happened, move on to your question. You didn't just ignore the provocation. You redirected the energy with calm intention and subtle strength. This technique, asking an unrelated neutral question, is more than a clever deflection. It's a Stoic power move in action. It's about choosing your response consciously rather than letting someone else pull you into their emotional game. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And in this case, choosing to steer the conversation with grace instead of reacting with emotion becomes a living example of Stoic mastery. You see, when someone tries to provoke you, their goal is to trigger a reaction. They want to see you flustered, angry, or defensive. But when you respond with lightness, curiosity, even humor, you deny them the satisfaction. Even better, you maintain your inner peace, your dignity, and your authority. This method works especially well in public or group settings because it flips the emotional script. A well-placed unrelated question about a local coffee shop, a recent movie, or the weather interrupts the momentum of the provocation. It's like switching tracks on a moving train. The entire conversation veers off course, and you remain calm in the center of it all. But there's a key to making this work. It must feel natural. Don't be robotic, don't force it. Let your tone be casual, relaxed, as if the offensive comment never even scratched the surface. It's this effortless delivery that makes the technique so powerful. It signals confidence without aggression. It says, your words don't define me. I choose peace, not because I'm weak, but because I'm strong enough to rise above. Over time, this response becomes more than just a tool for tense moments. It becomes a habit, a mental discipline that builds inner strength. The more you practice it, the more resilient you become. You stop letting others control your emotional state. You stop giving your peace away. And people notice. They'll respect you more, not because you dominate conversations, but because you don't let others dominate your emotions. They'll feel that quiet presence, that rare balance of kindness and composure, and they'll admire it. Because here's the truth. You can't control how others behave, but you can always control how you respond. And that simple, subtle choice, it defines your character more than 1,000 words ever could. So next time someone tries to provoke you, whether it's at dinner, in a meeting, or online, take a pause. Then smile and casually shift the conversation. By the way, have you tried that new place around the corner? Watch how the tension dissolves and how you walk away, not just unharmed, but empowered. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And by mastering this technique, you won't just protect your peace, you'll elevate it. And now, the final tip, the quiet power of walking away. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt invisible? Not just ignored, but disregarded, undervalued, maybe even openly disrespected? You show up, give your best, try to contribute, and yet your presence is barely acknowledged, your efforts dismissed. It's painful, it's frustrating. But here's the truth. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. In Stoic philosophy, respect isn't something you beg for. It's something you build from within. By knowing your worth, protecting your peace, and making choices that reflect your self-respect. And yes, sometimes that means choosing to leave. Let me share a story that captures this idea perfectly. A close friend of mine, Sarah, is one of the most talented creatives I know. Smart, driven, full of ideas. She joined a major project at her company with high hopes and even higher dedication. But instead of being valued, she faced something worse than indifference. She was ridiculed. Her manager would interrupt her during meetings, laugh at her suggestions, and subtly make her feel as if she didn't belong. At first, Sarah thought the solution was to work harder. She stayed up late perfecting proposals, contributing more, trying to prove her worth, hoping her effort would change how she was treated. But nothing changed. The ridicule continued. The dismissiveness grew louder. Then came the moment that shifted everything. In one particular meeting, Sarah offered an idea, thoughtful, strategic, well-researched. But before she could finish, the manager waved it off without even considering it. Something inside her clicked. She realized she didn't need to explain herself anymore. Without a hint of anger, she closed her laptop, stood up, and said, "I've decided to invest my energy where it's truly valued." And just like that, she walked out of the room. Calm, composed, clear. That same afternoon, she submitted her resignation, not as a rebellious act, but as a quiet declaration of self-worth. Fast forward a few months, Sarah is now in a leadership role at another company. And guess what? She's thriving. Her voice is respected, her contributions celebrated. Her decision to walk away wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something better. This is what Stoicism teaches us. You can't control how others treat you, but you can control how you respond and where you choose to stay. Staying in a place where you are constantly disrespected isn't humility, it's self-abandonment. Sometimes the most powerful move is to say, enough. I deserve better than this. Not through shouting, not through bitterness, but through action. Walking away isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about proving something to yourself, that you will no longer sit at a table where your worth is ignored, that you will no longer tolerate an environment that chips away at your spirit. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When you walk away from disrespect, you're not losing, you're reclaiming. You're drawing a boundary. You're saying, my peace is non-negotiable. So how do you know when it's time to walk away? It's when you've tried, genuinely tried, to be seen, heard, and valued, and all you get in return is silence, mockery, or dismissal. When your efforts are met with coldness, when your presence feels more like a burden than a gift, that's when you know. Don't wait until your self-esteem is slowly worn down. Listen to your intuition. Honor your value. Because being absent and respected is far better than being present and diminished. Walking away is not surrender. It's strategy. It's self-care. It's stoicism in motion. The next time you find yourself in a place where your worth isn't honored, remember this. You don't need to stay. You don't need to fight to be seen. You simply need to remember who you are and act accordingly. Because respect isn't begged for, it's built, quietly, confidently, by how you choose to treat yourself. I'd love to hear about your own journey, the times you chose yourself, the moments you stood firm or walked away with grace. Share your story in the comments. Or if you don't know what to say, just write, "I can do it," as a small act of commitment to your own growth. And if this message spoke to you, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and stay with us on this journey of inner strength and Stoic wisdom. I'll leave 2 more videos here to help you continue growing, learning, and transforming every challenge into a victory. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.